では早速いきましょうか。まずは正確にはね11年なんですけど、大きくくくって10年ここまで皆さんとねやってきたのをちょっと振り返っていきたいと思います。
Okay, so jumping into the timeline here, of course, accurately it's 11 years, but like we'll call this the 10 years of Final Fantasy 14.
いろいろありましたね。2010年サービスを開始して、その12月に運営体制ね全部開発も、一新して、僕はここから参加ですね。
So first, 2010 was when it all started. Many things that happened caused us to sort of reconsider the development structures, and there was a lot of changes that were made in order to kind of reboot the title. So this is when Yoshida joined into the project.
で2011年の2011年の10月14日に、14日が縁起がいいだろうっていうので申請をやりますよという発表してますね。
And then 2011, October 14th, we were thinking 14th must bring us good luck. And that's when we announced that we are going to have Final Fantasy 14 Reborn.
海外の皆さん詳しいよね。あゆみさんもインタビューにいてくれたと思うけど、9番を遊んでみたいので9番の復活させる気ありませんかってクラシックファイナルファンタジー14やる気ありませんかってナイトメアって答えたやつみんな覚えてて、ナイトメアってすげえ言ってんのコメントで。
I love how the comments from the West are, I love how they know all these details. And I'm sure Amy had sat into the interviews as well, but people were asking about, are you going to make an FF14 1.0 classic like WoW Classic did theirs? And Yoshida answered, Nightmare. And so people are calling the time of 1.0 in Nightmare. It's awesome.
で2012年の11月11日にですね、時代の終焉トレーラー公開とともにですね、一旦申請の準備のために Q14 のサービスを、終了させていただいてます。
And of course, in November 11th of 2012, we titled it The End of an Era, and we sort of closed the service for the original version of Final Fantasy 14.
9番からねやってくださってる方も結構いるし、9番の捉え方って結構まちまちだとは思うんですけど、9番のラスト付近はそれはそれでまた独特のゲームデザインの MMO として結構ね好きだった、面白くなったんだよって言ってくれる人たちもたくさんいて、僕らシャットダウンするのを決めながらも作ってたところに対してそういうね評価をもらってたりするのはとてもありがたいことなので、僕らもすごいね実は励みになってました。
And of course, people who have been playing since the original 1.0 may have their different opinions about how the game had played. But there were people who thankfully acknowledged how 14 was starting to shift, and they did take notice about how the game design was unique, despite we were looking to sunset the original version. And so it was wonderful that people acknowledged that, and that was very encouraging for us as a team.
ちなみに9番から今日視聴してくださってる方でQ14 からやってるよって方、どうですか？手を挙げてもらってもいいですか？
So if I could have people in the comments, by show of hands, I don't know how you raise your hands, but like anybody who's been playing since 1.0, the original Final Fantasy 14, we would love to see who's been with us since then.
めっちゃいるな。
すごい、there's a lot.
Wow,
thank you very much.
すごいありがたい。
That's amazing. Thank you guys.
ここからねあと10年お互い健康に気をつけて楽しんでいきましょう。
But yeah, we're looking forward to the next 10 years. So yeah, let's all take care of our health and keep going. That's awesome.
で、2013年ですね、ベータテストをやりながら、2013年8月27日についに新生オルゼア正式サービス開始することができました。
So So moving on, 2013, we start our beta testing for A Realm Reborn, and then August 27 of the same year, we were able to relaunch as A Realm Reborn.
振り返るとですね、2011年の3月ぐらいから一気に新生14の設計だけ5人ぐらいで設計をスタートして、2011年の6月から6人のプログラマーがコードを書き始めたのを覚えてるので、実質そこから2年2ヶ月で申請リリースしてるので、もうちょっと驚異的今振り返ると。
And looking back, so that it was 2011 in March, we started at least doing the framework, just the design structure first. And it was a very small team that worked on it. It was 5 people who started on the base framework. And then starting June of that same year, 2011, we had 6 programmers starting to write code. And considering it took about 2 years and 2 months to relaunch, that's just incredible.
で、念願だったですねファンフェスっていうのを2014年の10月からですね、スタートすることができました。今でも覚えてます。
And of course, by 2014, October, we were able to hold our very first fan festival. That was something that we really wanted to do.
初めてやった北米のファンフェスの基調公演でステージに上がった時の大歓声でですね、もう足が震えて
I still remember it today. The first time we did our fan festival, and we started out in the North America region. And when I took the stage to do my keynote presentation, and just the cheer that I received from the audience, man, my legs were shaking when I was up there.
で初の拡張であるヘブンズワード、2015年の6月にリリースして、その後の8月に、全世界累計登録者数が500万人を突破したと。
And then next we were able to launch our first ever expansion pack, Heaven's Word, in 2015 June. And then soon after we reached 5 million registered players.
でこのあたりはですね、我々開発チームもですね、高難易度って言われてよしやっちゃうぞって言ってもうキリッキリなのをやったらですね、いや難しすぎんだろってなってですね、我々もいろいろな失敗を繰り返しつつですね、今につながってる本当重要な時期だったと思います、ここは。
But this is around the time when people were starting to clamor for higher difficult content, and the dev team got so excited about, oh yeah, you want difficult? And so we gave you a really, really tough content, and people started complaining now about, oh no, this is too difficult, Yoshida, this is too difficult. And so we were trying to find that balance. It was trial and error trying to get to that nice balance. But I think it was really important that we're making that conversation.
あれでね、僕は人生の格言の一つをね学んだんですよ。プレイヤーの皆さんには、いやーちょっと簡単だったなって言われるぐらいがちょうどいいんだなと。
And it was then that I learned this very valuable lesson, which is I think it's best to keep the difficulty where the players would walk out of it saying, that was pretty easy.
で、グレンのリベレーターを発売したのが2017年6月で、この辺りからようやくこうバトルコンテンツ以外の、そのもう14の世界に住むみたいなことをより具体化していけるようになったのがこのぐらいの時期で、それがね、功を奏してですね、登録者数が、この時点で1000万人突破と。
And then, of course, Stormblood released in 2017 June, and we started looking at various other types of content aside from battle and combat, content that would involve the feeling of living in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. And I think that really struck a chord with people. People were resonating with it, which thankfully got us to our registered player number up to 14 million players.
思い出されるグレンのリベレーター初日のね、ラウバーン透滅戦。
すごかったですね。
And I still remember when Stormblood first launched, Rauban Extreme in the Niners.
ありましたね。
I think we all remember that.
まあ、あの失敗があってね、今の安定したキューイングシステムがあったりするからね。
But I mean, even with that failure, we learned from it and we were able to build a much better queuing system.
そしてですね、2018年になると、全世界登録者数が1400万人を突破して、2019年には、1600万人を突破と。ありがとうございます。
So I'm sorry, this is where we hit 14 million is 2018 August. And then moving on, we reached 16 million players by 2019 May. So thank you so much for all the players that are staying with us.
そうして続けてですね、2019年に、漆黒のヴィランズを発売し、その年末にはですね、全世界累計登録者数が1800万人を、突破となりました。
And moving on, we released Shadowbringers in 2019, and soon after, we surpassed 18 million registered players.
数字に関して言うと、単純に数字だけをこう見ていくと、そのなんていうの、増えるペースっていうのがばらついてるようにまあ見えるのかもしれないんですけど、実は体験したことのある人が増えれば増えるほど、新規が当然減るんですよね、はい、パイが決まってるところから新しい人を呼ばなきゃいけないので、だからここまでの数字になってるのにさらに数百万増やしていくっていうこと自体はとてもすごいことで、これは本当ね、まあ、開発運営チームの努力もそうなんですけど、マーケティング PR チームが、はい、コミュニティの皆さんと一緒になって達成してきてる数字なので、本当にこれはね誇らしい数字だと思ってます。
And looking at the numbers, it might seem like there's no real, like nothing of note. Oh yeah, the numbers are just increasing. But if you consider this, if we have a certain number of people already playing the game, and if we have a single pie that we're taking numbers out of, like you would expect the numbers to start going down. But it's interesting that we see more and more players join us even after all these years. We are seeing millions signing up. So, of course, I really want to acknowledge the development team, operations team, but also the marketing and PR teams working with the community to kind of promote the title and get the word out. So I'm very proud of their achievements.
そして2021年、去年ですね、12月2日にはですね、全世界累計登録者数が2500万人を突破し、ちょっと昨日の数字とかは見てないですけど、まだ全然まだ上がってってると思うので、で12月7日ですね、すいません、2週間ほどちょっと遅延をさせていただくことにはなってしまいましたが、行月のフィナーレを発売して、ハイデリンゾディアーク編完結というところまでこぎつけてこられたなと。
Of course, 2021, which is last year, we surpassed 25 million registered players. I did not see yesterday's numbers or like as of yesterday's numbers, but I do understand that our numbers are still increasing. And then afterwards, I know we had to delay the release by about 2 weeks. Again, apologies for the delay, but we were able to release Endwalker, and finally we were able to conclude the overarching story of Heidelin and Zodiark.
まあ長かったようで、僕は結構あっという間の11年でした。でも本当にね、世界中のプレイヤーの皆さん、光の選手の皆さん、メディアの皆さんもね、関係各社の皆さんにも本当にものすごくこんなに支えてもらうタイトルは他にないだろうと思うぐらい支えていただいてここまで来れたので、改めて本当に感謝をお伝えしたいと思います。ありがとうございます。
And it feels like a long time, but man, these 11 years went by very quickly for me. And all of our warriors of light, our players, members of the media, all of our supporting partner companies as well. There were just so many people that supported us throughout this all. So I do want to take this opportunity to convey my gratitude from the bottom of my heart. So I sincerely thank everybody.
はい。あとは本当ね、開発チームにも本当に厳しいスケジュールでやってきてて、実は拡張パッケージそのものの開発期間って1年とか、下手すると1年切ってたりするんで、本当に頑張ってきてもらいました。
And I also want to acknowledge the development team as well. They were always working against a very harsh schedule, and even developing some of our expansion packs. Sometimes we have only about a year or even less than a year to get through all of the tasks that needed to get done. So I really want to show my appreciation to them as well.
さて、ではこれを踏まえてですね、ここまで歩んできたその11年、9番の状態を考えれば、これ以上ないぐらいの成功をさせていただいたと思ってます。ここはあんまり言葉を隠さずに成功できてると思ってるので、それでいいと思ってるんですけど、ここまではある意味もう過去になったので、ここからさらに次の10年また挑戦を続けていきたいと思います。
And looking at the trajectory here and the path we've walked down, I think I want to consider this a success from what we had taken and what state it was in when we had first taken on the project, and to bring it to where it is now. I'm not ashamed to declare it. It might be a little awkward in the Japanese, but I believe it is a success, and I think it's a good thing that we've gotten here. But now that we have gotten this far, all of this is now in the past, and so we want to look to the future. We want to see what kind of challenges we can take on.